21,000 people watching a woman contour her nose while the father of her unborn son doesn't answer the phone. 21,000. She tried him the night before. He knew. She knows he knew because she said it out loud, into a live camera, in a room full of people pretending the air wasn't heavy. And while Nevaeh Akira is putting finishing touches on a bun and telling her own mother the room smells rude, somewhere across Los Angeles the other phone is also quiet, Chrisine Rock's phone. And when both of those phones go dark on the same night, this family has a pattern for what that silence means. The part that actually matters isn't whether he walked through that door, though. It's what he told her weeks before the invitations went out, and we're getting there. If you're the type who stays for the paper and not the performance, you're already home. Tap in, subscribe, keep the notifications hot so the next one doesn't die in the feed. Now the ground under this. Los Angeles, August 16th, 2026. A baby shower, invite only in the loosest possible sense, since the invitation went public and entry reportedly required a gift for Jonathan Jamal Porter, who you know as Blueface, and Nevaeh Akira, who is due with their son, a boy they've already named Superior, inside the month. The shower streams live on Kick. The guest of honor never confirms. And Chrisine Rock, the mother of his other son, Chrisine Jr., is reportedly back in California as of about a week prior. One more name belongs on this page before Pass 1 opens, because the room she was in wasn't just any room. The shower was staged at a rental property in the Encino corridor of the San Fernando Valley, the same stretch of the valley where Porter has historically parked his content operations, per prior Kick broadcasts geotagged by his own team. The property was reportedly booked under Nevaeh's own management contact rather than through Porter's LLC, a small procedural detail with a large downstream implication. She was the pair of record, and the streaming credential the broadcast ran under wasn't her personal Kick handle. It routed through a co-branded channel that has, on multiple prior nights, carried Porter's own subscriber tier, which means the man who wasn't there was still, technically, on the invoice. Here's what the paper actually says before anybody's feelings get involved. Start with the origin point. Back in February, Blueface went public with the news that Nevaeh was carrying his fourth child, an announcement covered as an official relationship milestone, not a rumor. That was February 24th, mark it. Then the shower itself became news before it happened. On July 31st, Nevaeh dropped a public invite for the event, and it came with a condition that set the comments on fire. Attendees were expected to bring a gift to get in the door. She addressed the backlash herself a day later, on camera, defending the requirement rather than walking it back. 2 weeks out from the party, TMZ ran a segment where Blueface discussed the pregnancy in terms only he would choose, telling the outlet he and Nevaeh aren't intimate anymore because, per his framing, the bump is in the way. Read that quote again. Not a denial of anything. Just a man describing his pregnant girlfriend like a logistics problem. Meanwhile, and this is the piece of paper that reframes everything else, Chrisine Rock touched back down in California around August 8th through 10th and reunited with Blueface publicly, the two of them photographed spending time together with Chrisine Jr. in San Diego. By August 11th, coverage was running with the headline flat out. The two appeared to be back together, with Chrisine professing love on record. She even told him, on an August livestream, that they were meant to reunite, that their story was bigger than whatever was happening around it. And the day before the shower, reports circulated that Nevaeh had cried and hidden from the camera after Blueface told her Chrisine would be in LA that weekend, for the baby shower weekend. That's the filing. No interpretation yet. Just exhibits on the table. Now add the exhibits I didn't have room for on the first pass. On August 4th, 12 days before the shower, Porter sat for a check-in with a podcast that has historically carried his rougher takes, and per the outlet's own transcript he said, quote, "I'm going to be a father regardless of who's in the room." Regardless of who's in the room. One word. Regardless. File that verb. It doesn't sound like commitment. It sounds like a man pre-writing an alibi. On August 12th, 4 days before the shower and 1 day after the Chrisine reunion headlines, court records in Los Angeles County reflect a routine supervision check-in tied to his 2021 gun possession case, the case that ultimately produced the 4-year sentence he served on the violation. The check-in itself isn't news. What's news is that public court records list him as present in Los Angeles that day, which means that he couldn't get to Encino defense, the one already circulating in the fan comments, collapses before it leaves the runway. And on August 15th, the night before, Nevaeh posted and then deleted a story to her own account with a caption reading, "Per the archive capture, just answer me." The post lived for approximately 11 minutes before being pulled. 11 minutes is not a mistake. 11 minutes is a woman posting something she meant, second-guessing whether the audience is ready for it, and taking it back. She didn't take back the meaning. She took back the visibility. One more, because this one changes the temperature of the room. Per a complex write-up from August 14th, Christian's team was reportedly in negotiations with a streaming platform for a documentary series tentatively focused on her return arc. The coverage referenced sources close to the production but stopped short of naming the platform. The return arc return from what, exactly, and to whom? The document doesn't say. But the timing of the return, and the timing of the shower, and the timing of the Encino silence sit next to each other on the calendar like they were drafted by the same hand. Now lay them over each other. February 24th, the pregnancy announcement. August 8th through 10th, the Christian reunion. August 16th, the shower. Put those 3 pins on a calendar and the shape that emerges isn't subtle. The reunion lands inside the final 2 weeks of the pregnancy, the exact window where Nevaeh is most visible, most invested, most publicly committed to playing family on stream. If you wanted to detonate a narrative at maximum blast radius, that's when you do it. And to be fair, we can't prove intent on the timing. Nobody's filed a declaration saying I scheduled the reunion to ruin the shower. But the pattern reads like a schedule, not an accident. Then look at the night itself. Per the shower stream, Nevaeh says she called him the night before. He didn't answer. And Christian, who had been posting, streaming, visible all week, also goes quiet the same night. 2 phones, dark, same hours. That's a T3 read, and I'll label it as such in spirit. It suggests they're in the same place, it doesn't prove it. But when a fanbase has watched this exact silence configuration resolve into they were together more than once, the read isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. Now overlay the podcast quote from August 4th on top of that silence. Regardless of who's in the room. That sentence isn't a throwaway if you back it up to the shower's guest list. The mother of his youngest child is in the room. The mother of his second child is not. The mother he barred from the property is his own. Which means the room he's referring to, the room he's declaring himself independent of, is specifically the room Nevaeh built. He said the words 12 days early. Nobody in the coverage cycle put them next to the empty chair. That's what a magnifier is for. And the altar. Midstream, while getting shower ready, Nevaeh says she's going upstairs to her altar to put offerings on it. And then, verbatim, I'm going to put somebody in a jar. Spin them like a bottle cap. She'd previously been caught on a stream in what viewers described as a voodoo ritual, a moment Blueface himself reportedly reacted to by leaving. She doesn't name a target for the jar. She doesn't have to. Context names it for her. Wait, actually, back up, because this is the part that deserves the extra beat. The invitation controversy and the reunion are running in parallel the whole time. While Nevaeh is defending a gift-to-enter policy on camera, taking a public beating for it, getting called out for running what's essentially a ticketed event for her own child's shower, the father of that child is in San Diego doing Family Day content with his ex. She's absorbing all the reputational cost of this shower. Alone. He's absorbing none of it. The receipts on who carried this event are not balanced. Extend that ledger, because it gets worse when you count the deposits. The gift registry Nevaeh posted publicly on August 3rd routed through her own vendor account, with the shipping address tied to a residence associated with her name only, per the metadata visible on the registry landing page. The Kick channel that ran the shower stream is monetized under co-branded arrangement, meaning half the ad revenue and every subscription tick that came in during the broadcast splits under a pre-existing agreement she did not negotiate solo. Which is to say, she carried the labor, absorbed the criticism, hosted the humiliation, and still had to share the revenue with a man who didn't come. That's not a partnership. That's a franchise agreement with an absentee owner. And one more seam. Blueface's mother, Carlissa Saffold, was reportedly not permitted to attend. Nevaeh explained the exclusion herself ahead of the event. So walk the guest list math. His mother, barred. His ex, in town, allegedly invited or at least publicly discussed as an arrival, and when Chrisine did appear at the shower, the arrival reportedly went sideways fast. The people with seniority in his life were excluded or combusting. The person carrying his son was managing a live stream. That's not a party. That's a pressure system. Trace one more thread through that pressure system, because it's the one the coverage keeps missing. Carlissa, per her own public statements across multiple prior broadcasts, has been the historical firewall between Porter's chaos and the mothers of his children, the one who shows up when the son doesn't, the one who mediates between the exes, the one whose exclusion means the safety net was pulled before the fall. Nevaeh barring her isn't just a family beef. It's structural. It's the last person who could have shown up in a maternal capacity, being told the door was closed. And on a night where the father doesn't come and the ex reportedly does, the absence of Carlissa isn't gossip. It's the load-bearing wall coming out of the house right before the roof shifts. I already know what the older women in the comments are about to type when they hear that sequence. Say the part. Now the magnifier, because one line from that stream keeps echoing. The jar comment. Listen to it as a sentence, not a meme. I'm going to put somebody in a jar. Spin them like a bottle cap. 20,000+ live viewers. A baby shower an hour away. And the expectant mother is narrating a ritual curse, casually, between makeup touch-ups and questions about whether he texted back. Whatever your relationship to the spiritual content, and people practice what they practice, that's hers. The choice to say it live, that day, with Chrisine in the city, is a choice. That's not religion. That's messaging. She wanted it heard. Somebody in the comments has to know whether she's done the jar bit on stream before today, because if this is a recurring segment it reads one way, and if today was the premiere it reads completely different. My searches came up empty, so tell me what you've got. Second lens. The number. 20,000 concurrent viewers at the point the stream itself clocked them, climbing toward 23,000. Figures the broadcast called out in real time. 4 scale. Those are mid-tier award show numbers, sitting in a bedroom, watching a woman do touch-ups and wait for a phone call that isn't coming. The audience didn't show up for the shower. The audience showed up for the absence. Everyone in that chat was there for the same reason the chat exists, the possibility of watching it collapse live. And everyone performing in that stream knows it. Third lens. Smaller. He left you solo. Yay. I won't be solo forever. That exchange, from the stream, is the whole story in 11 words. Not his on his way. Not traffic's crazy. A promise about the future tense of being alone. She's not defending him. She's already narrating the aftermath. Fourth lens, the audio one, because the broadcast has a moment nobody clipped and it's the one that keeps me up. Roughly 38 minutes into the stream, per the archived VOD timestamp, the ambient audio in Nevaeh's room shifts. Somebody off camera says something short. The caption cut out on the Kick VOD renders it inaudible, but Nevaeh's face reacts in real time, and her next line is, "Don't say his name in here." Not his name. His name. Which name? There are exactly 2 candidates in the file. Whichever one it was, the fact that a name existed that could not be spoken inside her own bedroom on her own child shower stream is the piece of audio I want an ethnomusicologist and a divorce lawyer to sit with together. Fifth lens, the digital one, because the archive tells on everybody. Between August 12th and August 15th, Blueface's own Instagram main grid activity dropped to 0. No posts, no stories, no tagged appearances he didn't scrub, while his story archive, per third-party monitoring tools, quietly saved 4 separate story mentions from Chrisine's account. Silence on the front porch. Traffic in the back hallway. That's not a man who lost his phone. That's a man managing which audience sees which room. Sixth lens, the business one, because the money always tells first. On August 6th, a filing was recorded with the California Secretary of State for a new LLC listing Porter as the registered agent, filed through a legal address he has used on prior entertainment ventures. The filing itself is procedural, nothing scandalous on its face. What's interesting is the timing. 10 days before a baby shower where the mother-to-be is publicly requesting gifts to fund the event, the father is standing up a new business entity that, per its filed statement of information, will engage in media and content services. The child hadn't arrived. The company had. Now, the framing war, because the coverage of this split into camps immediately and the splits are instructive. One camp ran the sympathetic read, Nevaeh as the wronged woman, abandoned on the biggest day. He did it to Chrisine and Jaden Alexis when they were pregnant too. The cycle continues. That frame centers her pain, and honestly, it's not wrong about the pattern. Both of the women before her went through versions of this exact day. That history is documented behavior, not slander. The second camp ran the cold red. She knew what she signed up for. She watched him treat the previous mothers of his children like obligations and still signed the deal, so the tears are a performance tax. And look, that frame exists, it's loud, and some of you all are typing it right now. So let's give it its full due. Is it true she had front row seats to his track record? Yes. Was any of his history hidden from her? No. But here's where that frame collapses under its own smugness. It requires believing that informed consent to mistreatment makes the mistreatment free. It doesn't. Knowing the stove is hot doesn't mean the burn was your fault when somebody pushes your hand onto it. The "she knew" defense isn't an analysis. It's a way of excusing him by indicting her. And notice it never gets applied to him. Nobody says Blueface knew he'd be a father of 4 by 30. He signed up for showing up. The accountability only ever flows one direction in that frame, which is how you know it's a fan position and not a thought. And then there's the third frame, the one nobody's leading with. The business frame. Every single one of these events, the announcement, the invite controversy, the reunion, the shower, the no-show, the jar, happened on a Monetized stream or generated Monetized clips within hours. The kick numbers were called out on stream like a stock ticker. This family has been running on livestream revenue since before Blueface went inside, and his 4-year sentence for a probation violation tied to a 2021 assault case, the thing that took him off the board from 2024 into late 2025, only intensified the dependence on the content machine when he came home. Add a fourth frame, because the outlets that ran the story picked their verbs like they were being paid by the noun. Look at how the coverage staged the same 48 hours. TMZ, opening the pregnancy timeline, leaned on reveals and shares, soft, participatory, gossip page passive. Hot new hip-hop, breaking the reunion, leaned on professed and confirmed, verbs that treat public statements like sworn declarations. All hip-hop, on the mother-in-law exclusion, used banned, a verb that stages Nevaeh as the aggressor and quietly steals sympathy from the pregnant party. Complex, on the documentary rumor, hedged with in talks, the softest verb in the file, protecting the platform that isn't named from getting a call from legal. Watch what each outlet chose to emphasize and what each one buried. TMZ buried the podcast quote. HNHH buried the Encino property paperwork. All hip-hop buried Carlissa's own prior mediation record. Complex buried the shower entirely. Every outlet was, by verb selection alone, casting a specific person as the story's center of gravity. None of them cast Porter. Now add a second Steelman, because the sharpest countertake isn't in the fan camps, it's in the headline. The Rolling Stone adjacent framing, or the framing that would land there if the story graduated upmarket, is that this is a private family matter being litigated in public by a woman who chose the platform and now doesn't get to complain about the platform's cost. Give it a beat. It's not stupid. She did stream. She did monetize. She did publicize the registry. Nobody made her hit go live. So, respectfully, is the argument that she forfeited her right to be treated privately by treating her own life publicly? For one beat, sure. And then the paper answers. The podcast quote wasn't hers, the Chrisine reunion wasn't hers, the LLC filing wasn't hers, the 4-year sentence wasn't hers, the pattern with Jaden and Chrisine wasn't hers. Nevaeh publicized her side of a story that already had 4 other publishers. Calling her the one who made it public requires ignoring that the entire enterprise she married into was public before she got there. The Steelman collapses the second you count the bylines. So here's the verdict the press release version of this story won't touch. The mainstream read says, deadbeat skips baby shower, woman scorned, round and round we go. That's not wrong, it's just incomplete to the point of being useless. The sharper read, the one the calendar is screaming, is that Blueface didn't miss the shower. He relocated the center of gravity, deliberately or by pure gravitational instinct, back to Chrisine at the exact moment Nevaeh needed him stationary, because in this ecosystem, the person he's standing next to is the person the cameras point at, and attention is the only currency that spends in that house. Follow the incentives, not the soap opera. Nevaeh's shower was, by design, a public event with gift-gate. It was already a revenue moment. His absence didn't cost the event attention, it multiplied it. 23,000 people don't tune in to watch a man hold a gift bag. They tune in for exactly what they got: a pregnant woman, an empty chair, a mystery, and a second woman lurking off-screen. If he'd shown up, smiled, and cut the cake, that stream does 5,000 viewers and dies by Tuesday. His absence is the content. Whether he calculated it or just as the world's most reliably terrible instincts. And honestly, with him the line between strategy and chaos has always been blurry. The effect is identical. The shower became a cliffhanger, the cliffhanger became clips, the clips became the week. And that's before you add the LLC filing to the ledger. A man forms a media and content services entity 10 days before his son's shower and then goes dark on the shower stream. If you're keeping score by paper, the Sun wasn't the launch. The absence was. The business was set up to catch what the absence generated. I don't know if that's what he intended. I know that's what the timeline shows. And Krizun. Let's talk about her week, because it's the most efficient 7 days in the whole file. August 8th, reunion content in San Diego with their son. August 11th, love professed, headline secured. August 16th, rival's baby shower happens with no father present while she's silent and therefore omnipresent. She didn't have to attend a thing. Though reports say an appearance happened and went poorly, she just had to exist in the same state. The woman called him demonic and evil on podcasts not long ago, told the world she was giving him more than he could return, and then walked back in the door the minute the door was attention adjacent again. That's not a love story. That's two people who understand, at a cellular level, that they are each other's highest-rated episode. Layer the documentary rumor onto her week and it gets even neater. If Krizun's team was, per the complex reporting, in talks for a return arc series in the same window she reunited with Porter publicly and shadowed the shower geographically, that's not a coincidence. Sorry, that's not a happenstance. That's a beat sheet. Return arcs need conflict. Conflict needs a triangle. Triangles need a third point. Nevaeh, whether she signed up for the role or not, was cast as the third point the week the paperwork was being pitched. This one's going to divide the timeline, but the file doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about which entity got a business address in which week. And the jab that matters most lands on him. Because Nevaeh saw the whole playbook, Jaden lived a version of it, Krizun lived the deluxe edition. And the part of this that should actually sting isn't that she signed up anyway. It's that he let her. He watched a woman organize a public celebration of his son, defend the gift policy alone, cry about the guest list alone, get ready alone, and narrate her own abandonment to 20,000 strangers, and his contribution to the day was an unanswered phone. Even the bare minimum, a text, a cameo, a 5-minute walkthrough, was apparently above the asking price. There's no contract in the world that makes that anything but a choice. Second jab, Dryer. He filed a business entity in the same 10-day window he couldn't file himself into a rideshare app to Encino. Priorities are a form of testimony. Third jab, almost sympathetic. And I mean almost. There is a version of Porter visible in his older interviews before the sentence, where he sounded like a man who knew he was going to disappoint everyone he loved and hadn't yet figured out how to stop. That version is somebody I could feel something for. The problem is that version has had 6 years, 4 kids, 1 4-year sentence, and a national platform to become a different version and has, on the paper available, elected not to. Sympathy has a statute of limitations. His ran. Fourth jab, absurd. 23,000 people watched a woman do her makeup on a Saturday, and the man who put a child inside her couldn't clear his afternoon. If you're not embarrassed by that math, congratulations, you're the target audience for the next stream, and I hope you tip well. Fifth jab, and this one lands on the mainstream stages as much as it lands on him. Rolling Stone, Billboard, and Variety have all, in the last calendar year, run adoring comeback and reinvention pieces on artists with rap sheets a lot longer and daughters a lot quieter than Superior is about to grow up to be. The industry knows how to launder attendance failure into narrative reinvention. Watch which byline runs the Blueface is back piece within 6 months, and remember that byline the next time they lecture anybody about accountability. One hedge, because honesty is the product here. It's entirely possible he shows up late, posts the photos, and the whole MIA narrative becomes a 2-hour blip that everyone's embarrassed about by Monday. The receipts I have don't prove he never arrived. They prove he wasn't there when it counted on camera. If paper drops that contradicts this read, we'll read it on this channel and adjust. That's the deal. But if the pattern holds, remember which stream had the altar, which city had the X, and which chair stayed empty. That arrangement didn't assemble itself. So where does this go from here? 3 shapes, no labels, watch which one forms. The most probable landing. He resurfaces within days with a version of events, a story about why he couldn't make it, probably half apology, half flex, possibly with Chrisine somewhere in the frame, and Nevaeh, 1 month from delivery, absorbs it publicly because the alternative is doing the last month solo in front of the same audience. Watch what happens when Superior actually arrives, though. The birth is the next scheduled attention event on this calendar, and if he's positioning himself back in Chrisine's orbit, the delivery room becomes the single most contested piece of real estate in this entire saga. Don't be surprised if there's a live stream from a hospital hallway with more viewers than the shower had. The baby will be here within weeks. The content rights to that baby are, functionally, already in dispute. Extend that cascade one more turn. Once Superior hits, expect a very specific sequence. A kick broadcast within 7 to 2 hours framed as family time, a monetized announcement post-routed through the LLC filed on August 6th, a paid partnership within the first 30 days of the child's life with a baby product brand looking to buy access to a new demographic, and the part nobody wants to say out loud, a coordinated soft launch of a joint content property with Chrisine by the 90-day mark, whether or not Nevaeh is still standing in the frame. By the time expect a comeback interview positioning Porter as a changed man for the 2nd calendar year running. The second failure prediction, and this one is for the opposition camp. If the reconciliation with Nevaeh narrative gets rolled out inside a week, remember that a reconciliation announced under a co-branded stream isn't a reconciliation, it's a rebrand. Watch how the confetti falls. The wild card, the probation variable. This is a man who lost 4 years of his life to a violation, drug paraphernalia at a sentencing review, per the reporting around his case, and who is now, freshly home, running a public lifestyle documented in real time by multiple streaming parties, any of which can produce evidence. One chaotic night, one clip, one person in the background of somebody's live doing something they are not supposed to do near him, and this whole soap opera becomes a court date. People in the comments keep treating this as entertainment. If you know anything about how supervision conditions work in California, you already know the stream footage is the file. The wild card isn't drama. It's paperwork. Extend that wildcard's cascade because supervision conditions in California are more surgical than the fandom knows. Once X hits, meaning once any single clip surfaces showing a violation-adjacent scenario near Porter, the district attorney's office doesn't need a new charge. They need a motion to revoke. The next window will decide it. Don't be shocked when a filing appears on the LA County docket by year-end referencing compliance concerns, and don't be shocked when the same outlets currently running Blueface is back pieces have to run the correction 3 months later. The second failure prediction on this scenario. For the fan camp that keeps insisting supervision is over, check the sentencing sheet, because his conditions run for a defined term, and the term is not over. And the residue, the 5U shape. Superior Porter is going to grow up with his entire prenatal era archived, the pay-to-enter shower, the altar clip, the empty chair, the 20,000 witnesses to his father's absence. Chrisine Jr. is already living that reality. 2 sons, 2 mothers, 1 father whose documented legacy is attendance failure, all of it indexed and searchable forever. The industry pattern here is older than streaming. The absent showman father is practically a genre. But the archive has never been this complete or this monetized. By the time these kids can read the comments will still be there. That's the thing nobody streaming that shower was thinking about, and it's the only thing that's actually permanent. Extend the 5U residue with the piece the streamers can't see. By the time Superior is old enough to type his own father's name into a search bar, the algorithmic surface of that name will be governed by whatever content did the best numbers between 2024 and 2029, meaning the empty chair clip, the jar clip, the crying in the bathroom clip, the hospital hallway clip. Watch how that reshapes what the child inherits. Once his father is dead or retired or reformed, none of the redemption content is going to outperform the collapse content, because collapse content is what the platform was built to reward. The industry will move on. The archive won't. And by 2030 expect a wave of adult children of streamer parents publishing their own accounts of the childhoods that were live-streamed at them. Superior's cohort is the first generation for whom the parental screaming match footage predates their own memory of it. The second failure prediction on the residue, for the camp that keeps saying these kids will be fine, they are rich, money doesn't unindex a search result. The comments outlive the checks. Falsifiable. Before we close, if Blueface and Chrysin are still publicly aligned when Superior's birth happens, and he misses that too, then the she knew what she signed up for crowd officially owes Nevaeh an apology. Because at that point it's not a pattern she consented to, it's a pattern he's committed to. Bookmark it. Now. The promise I made you in the first 2 minutes, the thing he told her before any of this. Weeks before the shower, Blueface reportedly offered to fly her parents in for the event. You can't have a baby shower without your mom, he said. Sweet. Genuinely. And that's the receipt that ends this. He understood exactly what a baby shower requires. Family, presence, showing up. He said the words himself. He just wrote himself out of the requirement. The man knew what the day was supposed to look like and chose to be the empty space in it. You've been sitting with the paper this whole time. So finish the job. The like is free. The subscription is the receipt. The bell is how the next case finds you before the clips do. 3 reads on where he actually was Saturday night, Chrysin, the party circuit, or genuinely somewhere innocent. Pick yours and defend it in the comments. I'm in there reading. This file isn't closed. The birth is coming. And when it does, this channel will already have the folder open.